Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. There's been a lot of rumors about a quote-unquote Switch Pro coming sometime in 2021, and it looks like we got some more details on what we should expect with that. This includes some specs, launch period, and even pricing, so if you're interested in a more powerful Nintendo Switch, we will talk about that today, plus a few other Nintendo-related topics as well. It's a very exciting time for Nintendo fans, so make sure to stick around for that and let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Also, Xbox Live made a change that had fans talking last night, and Xbox Game Pass may expand in a major way sometime in 2021. I mean, we're talking about a huge expansion on a similar level of EA Play as if Xbox Game Pass wasn't already good enough. But we do have a lot to go over today, so let's get right into it, starting off with some Nintendo news. Monster Hunter Rise is releasing later this week, which means coverage is really going to ramp up over this highly anticipated game over the next few days. I mean, this will be an absolutely massive release, and to just kind of put this into perspective, a tech company over in Japan is giving their employees the day off on March 26, declaring it Mon Hun Day. The CEO says that if at work, it's expected that employees won't be able to concentrate, and they already had several employees wanting to take off that day anyway, so they went ahead and decided to just give everybody a vacation day. I mean, that's pretty cool, but it kind of shows you how massive this release truly is, especially over in Japan. Dragon Quest has a similar effect over there, but yeah, this is a big release. And if you weren't already excited about Monster Hunter Rise, reviews came out today where it has an 86 overall score on Metacritic. From what I've seen, most reviewers seem to praise the new wire bug mechanic and believes it should be a mainstay in the Monster Hunter series. It speeds things up and gives you extra mobility, which can be a lot of fun. However, post-game content is a little lacking right now, but as we've seen with Monster Hunter World, Capcom will likely support this game for a very long time, fixing that problem. I mean, they already have its first free update coming next month where it adds new monsters in and other content, so I wouldn't really worry about all that. Either way, it's only a few days out, and what a beginning for the Switch in 2021. This is now the third big exclusive for the Nintendo Switch in the first 3 months of the year. I mean, what an incredible start. Now, speaking of the Switch, Tencent filed a patent for a Switch-like console. Yeah, we have pictures of this and everything. It does look very similar to the Switch, though it doesn't have a removable controller like the Joy-Cons, and this is more of a PC-like console from the sounds of it. There is a Windows button on it that signifies this is a PC Switch-like device rather than a standard console that you've come to expect. And for that reason, I do find this patent at least intriguing. I need to see some specs on it first, but if it's capable of running a large quantity of Steam games, that would be pretty cool. Playing PC games on the go is enticing after all. It could also be a nice Xbox Game Pass device. Tencent, of course, though, has invested a lot into gaming in the last few years. They own Riot Games, they've invested into Platinum Games, and even Epic Games among several others. So yeah, they do have some large studios that they've invested in, which could show up on a device like this. We also know that they're working on their own cloud game streaming service, and a device like this could take advantage of something like that. However, I wouldn't necessarily expect this to have exclusives or anything like that. That Windows button makes me feel like it will be multi-platform, but an interesting device to say the least. Next up, let's talk about a different up-and-coming publisher, Amazon Studios. Amazon has been working on their own games for years now, but it doesn't really seem like much has come from that so far. They do have their own game streaming service, Amazon Luna, and they're working on a few different games such as a Lord of the Rings MMO and New World. They do have 3 first-party studios, and now they're adding a 4th. Yeah, that's right, even though Amazon canceled their multiplayer shooter Crucible last year, they're far from giving up as they're building a completely new studio in Montreal, Canada. This studio will focus on making an original multiplayer IP, and what's interesting is that this team has core Rainbow Six Siege developers working on this game. Now, in my honest opinion, Rainbow Six Siege is absolutely one of the best competitive multiplayer games of all time. I cannot say enough good about this game. It feels completely unique, it's tactical, and it's just a lot of fun. So to have some of that Rainbow Six Siege core team work on a new multiplayer game is definitely intriguing. I'm interested to see what they can do with a new original game starting from scratch. We'll of course have to wait and see how this turns out though. Amazon still needs to build some trust with gamers, but if they can make a good first-party game, that will go a long way. I think one of their biggest hurdles, though, will be getting people to buy into Luna versus other options out there, whether that be a game streaming service like xCloud, or console, or even PC. I think that's going to be the toughest task for Amazon. I know I'm not particularly sold on that myself, but if they make a good enough game, I of course will try it out, and that's what they're trying to do with these first-party games. Let's move on to the Nintendo news though, as Monster Hunter Rise is not the only exciting thing happening in Nintendo Land today. Nintendo also revealed a new Pikmin game for mobile phones. Yeah, I wasn't really expecting that, but they once again partnered up with Niantic, the studio behind the hit phenomenon Pokemon Go. They once again will be taking a Nintendo-related IP, bringing them into the real world using augmented reality. Now, I don't know how a game like this would work per se. It could be cool to see Pikmin in the real world reacting with real-life objects. These little workers could do some cool things in augmented reality, though the main question will be about its fun factor. How fun will something like this be? With something like Pokemon Go, the collecting mechanic alone was a lot of fun, though Pikmin is just a little different. It'll be interesting to see what they do with this IP, and for that, let me know what you think they will do with an AR Pikmin. If anything though, it at least gives me another chance to jump back into the world of Pikmin yet again, and I'm always okay with that. The big Nintendo news though is about those Switch Pro rumors. Yeah, those Switch Pro rumors are back yet again, and this one is coming from Bloomberg. Now they are a trusted news outlet, so when you see them report on things, there is a level of trust there, and that's why we're talking about this particular report today. Bloomberg did report that sources close to the project confirmed that a Switch revision will include several improvements. There have been some questions on if this revision would be just a simple upgrade or not, but according to this report, it sounds like it's going to be a rather noteworthy upgrade. So let's check out what they had to say. The Switch Pro will apparently have a new NVIDIA chip for enhanced visuals, a 7-inch OLED screen, which we've talked about in the past, a better CPU, more memory, and the big one, it will use DLSS technology, which would be absolutely huge. Now, what DLSS does is that it uses artificial intelligence to render video at a higher resolution with little to no impact on visuals and can even increase frame rate. In other words, you can take a 1080p game and then upscale it to 4K resolution, and it does it phenomenally well, as we've seen on PC in recent years. Sometimes it looks even better than native resolution, as we've seen this technology get better as they've improved DLSS technology. So here, Bloomberg reports that NVIDIA is developing a chip to take advantage of DLSS while in the Switch docking station. This could be a major addition for Nintendo. In handheld mode though, it of course won't have as high as resolution, but you will have things like a 7-inch OLED screen, which is a little bigger than the 6.2-inch screen for the original Switch. OLED alone is a big improvement, however. That thing was amazing on the PlayStation Vita, so if they do bring that to the Switch, that is a big improvement. Now, what I'll be interested to see, if this does indeed happen, will Nintendo go back and update some of their games to take advantage of this? I think games like Xenoblade and even Monster Hunter Rise could really benefit from something like this. Both of those games are good-looking games, and it'd be nice to play them with even better visuals. Then there's upcoming games like Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 and Pokemon Legends Arceus, which again could majorly benefit using this device. Pokemon Legends was really struggling with that initial trailer. The frame rate clearly was having a lot of issues, and while I do expect them to get that fixed up before release, a Switch Pro could really help out with that game. You might be wondering though, this sounds like a relatively big upgrade, so what about the price and release date? Well, some Bloomberg analysts believe the price will increase for the Switch revision. Now, it's important to keep in mind this is not using the same sources talking about the Switch Pro specs, but rather this is their own predictions. They do believe this console will debut for $350 or maybe even $400 this holiday. So it could be a big jump in price if it goes all the way up to $400, but if you've been wanting a more powerful Switch, it sounds like you're definitely getting it here. This sounds great on paper, and I know I absolutely will buy it if all this comes true. I mean, I would have gotten it for the OLED screen alone, but it sounds like the upgrade in dock mode is big enough for me to play in docked mode. I don't really do that with the original Switch, but that would definitely change if all this ends up being true. Let me know what you think in the comments below though. Would you buy a Switch Pro for $400 if all of this is true? Moving on though, we got some Xbox news to talk about, as they seem to forever have something going on in the news, which keeps things exciting, though this time just a little strange. Yeah, so Xbox decided to change the name of their Xbox Online services from Xbox Live to Xbox Network. At first, I wasn't really sure how to feel about this, as Xbox Live is synonymous with the Xbox brand. I mean, I can still remember Xbox Live being such a huge thing on the original Xbox, as it was a huge step for online gaming with consoles, and to see it go away kind of brought back some nostalgia for me. However, it does appear Xbox Live Gold is not going anywhere. This apparently is just to separate the Xbox Network from the Xbox Live subscription. GameSpot reported that an Xbox spokesperson shared a statement saying, Xbox Network refers to the underlying Xbox Online service, which was updated in the Microsoft Services Agreement. The update from Xbox Live to Xbox Network is intended to distinguish the underlying service from Xbox Live Gold memberships. So it appears this change is not as big as it initially looks. I guess technically you will no longer be playing on Xbox Live, but Xbox Live Gold is still a thing. However, it does make me wonder if this is the first step of making some bigger changes to Xbox Live Gold. Xbox Live Gold recently added free-to-play multiplayer, but maybe they have some other plans for Xbox Live as well. I guess we'll have to kind of wait and see on that. Now, the last topic we're going to talk about today is a major expansion for Xbox Game Pass. Last year, Xbox Game Pass expanded by including EA Play. That was a huge inclusion as they added a ton of big AAA games like Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, Madden, Battlefield, among several others by partnering up with Electronic Arts. What was so crazy about this inclusion though is that Xbox Game Pass didn't rise in price. It is such an incredible deal for subscribers, but there has been rumors that Xbox is not quite done just yet. I mean, obviously they continue to bring exciting games monthly such as Yakuza and Octopath Traveler, but there has been one consistent rumor as of recent that they're trying to get Ubisoft Plus into Xbox Game Pass. We heard this last year from a few different insiders, and once again that is back coming from the well-respected VentureBeat journalist Jeff Grubb. So over on the GamesBeat Decides podcast, he claims that Xbox has been working with Ubisoft on something, and he believes it could be Ubisoft Plus coming to Game Pass. Let's check out what he had to say though. I think it's Ubisoft Plus, yes. I think it's that part. I'm not for sure, but that's my understanding is that they're trying to make that happen. What that looks like, if they're adding another $5 thing into Ultimate, or if they're going to be tiers to get all these things involved, I honestly don't know. That is me speculating, but I do think that they are trying to figure out a way to bring Ubisoft Plus in. I think that it'd be a pretty big deal. And he is exactly right. That would be a major deal. However, he doesn't seem 100% sure here. There does seem to be some speculation on this particular topic, but I think he makes a good point about different tiers. Ubisoft Plus is more expensive than EA Play, so maybe they decide to add an extra tier to include Ubisoft Plus. That's really not too bad though if you want Ubisoft Plus, but if they do somehow get Ubisoft on board, Xbox Game Pass is becoming quite a juggernaut. I really still can't believe just how good of a service Xbox Game Pass is sometimes. But of course, this Ubisoft Plus thing is still just a rumor for the moment, so take this with a grain of salt. And last but not least, the poll of the day. As we talked about yesterday with the PlayStation controversy, it kind of revived the long-running digital versus physical games debate. Which is better and why? Both certainly have their pros and cons, so I asked you which do you prefer, and 57% of you said that you do prefer digital media, citing the amount of convenience it offers. You don't have to physically swap games in and out, which saves you time, and that seems to be a common thread in this debate. A lot of you, though, also talk about that special feeling of having a physical game in your hands. Like I said, both have their pros and cons, and really there is no right or wrong answer here. It's just, what do you prefer? For me, I kind of go back and forth on this. I'm a collector and I love physical items. But yet digital is very convenient, so I have mixed feelings on this whole topic. Some games I absolutely want the physical edition, but in recent years I have bought a lot of games digitally. I think with things like Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus though, it also adds to that digital library of games. I mean, I haven't had to buy a first-party Xbox game in a few years now with them launching into Xbox Game Pass day one. PlayStation has also been doing day one games for PlayStation Plus here recently. But yeah, as long as both physical and digital exist, I think we're in a good place where everybody can play games and how they enjoy them. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget the bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.